It started on a quiet Tuesday evening, inside a small neighborhood supermarket where nothing remarkable ever happened. The air smelled faintly of ripe fruit and old refrigeration. The faded fluorescent lights flickered, humming above shoppers moving in lazy circles. And then there was Mara Linwood, the underdog of the story. Mara was the kind of woman people looked past without ever really seeing. A soft-spoken caregiver who worked double shifts at a community hospital. She lived alone in a modest apartment, saved every penny, and minded her own business. She had been overlooked her entire life. By bosses, co-workers, even her own family. She was forgettable, invisible. But that night, something changed, because standing in the checkout line ahead of her was a man who looked like he'd been living in the shadows for years. Clothes worn, hands shaking, eyes darting like a frightened animal. His cart held only a small bag of rice, 2 cans of beans, and baby formula. He whispered to the cashier, I don't have enough." People stared with annoyance. One woman muttered, "If you can't pay, don't shop." Another scoffed and pushed her cart harder, impatient. The tension grew thick, uncomfortable. Mara's heart tightened. She knew this feeling too well. Humiliation, fear, shame. She stepped forward. "I'll cover it," she said softly. The cashier sighed with relief. The man's eyes widened, stunned. For a second, something deep and unreadable flashed across his face. Gratitude or something else. Something darker? He whispered, "Thank you." Mara smiled, embarrassed by the attention, and waved it off. "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was the moment that changed everything. After the man left, the cashier leaned toward Mara and said, "You're kind, but be careful. People like that, you never know what they're capable of." Mara shook her head. Everyone deserves a break. She believed that. She had built her entire life around that truth. But as she walked out of the store, she noticed a man standing across the parking lot near a dim streetlight, watching her, not with gratitude, but with unsettling intensity. When she finally reached her car and pulled away, he vanished behind a row of trees. Mara brushed it off, unaware that this small act of kindness had pulled her into the orbit of someone far more dangerous than she realized. The next day, the news broke. Police searched for dangerous fugitive, escaped murder suspect at large. Mara nearly dropped her coffee, because the man on the screen, unshaven, hollow-cheeked, eyes filled with desperation, was the same man whose groceries she'd paid for. His name was Lucas Grange, wanted for the murder of his business partner, considered armed and dangerous. Authorities warned the public not to approach him. Mara's stomach twisted. She replayed the moment in the store over and over. His trembling hands, his frantic eyes. But she had seen something else too, something human. Yet now, fear crawled under her skin. By evening, people had flooded social media with speculation, warnings, and grainy surveillance images. And then Mara noticed something chilling. A new post from an anonymous account, a blurry photo, a picture of her, taken in the grocery store. Caption, "The woman who helped him." Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Someone had been watching, maybe even filming. And Lucas himself had been there earlier than she thought. As panic surged through Mara's body, a car slowed outside her window. Headlights brushed across her walls. She froze, listening to the rumble fade into silence. That night, sleep never came. 2 days later, something happened that shifted the entire balance of power. A knock at the door. Mara approached slowly, peering through the peephole, and her blood ran cold. Detective Sean Mathers, a seasoned investigator known for being merciless with suspects, dismissive toward everyone else. A man who treated people like Mara as background noise. "Mara Linwood?" He barked when she cracked the door open. "Yes." "You were seen with Lucas Grange. We need answers." He didn't say it gently. He didn't treat her like a witness. He treated her like a suspect, an accomplice, as if being kind was a crime. Inside the small living room, Mathers paced with impatient authority. "Why did you help him?" he demanded. "I didn't know who he was," Mara whispered. "That's what they all say." His voice dripped with contempt. Mara felt her chest tighten. This was her life. Always doubted, always dismissed. But this time was different. This time, a murder was somehow connected to her. And this detective wasn't looking for truth. He was looking for someone to blame. When Mathers finally left, he made it clear, if he contacts you, we'll know. And if you're hiding anything, you'll go down with him. The injustice burned inside her. She had done nothing wrong. She had helped a hungry man. And now she was trapped between a dangerous fugitive and a powerful detective who had already judged her guilty. That evening, as rain hammered her windows, Mara sat in silence, tears slipping down her cheeks. All her life she'd been pushed aside, dismissed, underestimated. Not anymore. Something hardened inside her. She picked up her phone. She would find out who Lucas Grange really was, and why he was running. Because deep down, she sensed something off. Something about the crime. Something about the fear in his eyes at the grocery store. Something that didn't fit the story the detective had fed her. She wiped her tears, grabbed her coat, and stepped into the night. But the moment she locked her door, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Thank you for helping me. We need to talk before they find me. Her heart lurched. Another message followed. I didn't kill him, and now they're coming after you too. Mara's pulse pounded in her ears. Before she could reply, her porch light flickered, then went out. Footsteps approached from the darkness. Slow, deliberate, then a deep voice, barely above a whisper. Mara, please open the door. It's me. Mara froze, her hand hovering over the doorknob as the voice drifted through the wooden frame. Mara, please. It's me. Lucas Grange. Her breath caught in her throat. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, to call the detective who already treated her like a criminal. But something in Lucas's tone stopped her. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't cold. It sounded broken. Mara stepped back, heart pounding. How did you find me? She whispered through the door. He exhaled shakily. Because they think you're helping me. They're watching you, just like they're watching me. Rain hammered the pavement outside, drowning out the rest of his words. Mara hesitated. Fear gnawed at her, but curiosity, and something like pity, pulled stronger. Back away from the door, she said, slowly. A few painfully quiet seconds passed. Then she checked the peephole. Lucas stood in the center of her porch, drenched from the storm, hands raised, offering himself as harmless. She opened the door 1 inch, just enough to see the trembling in his shoulders. Please, he said, voice cracking. I didn't kill anyone. They're framing me, and you're next. She opened the door fully, and that moment shifted everything. Inside, Lucas collapsed onto her couch, soaked and exhausted. Mara kept her distance, back straight, hands trembling. Start talking, she said. Lucas ran a hand through his wet hair. The man they say I killed, Daniel Rowe, was my partner. We ran a small import business. Only he wasn't importing what he claimed. Mara swallowed hard. What do you mean? Lucas's voice dropped to a whisper. He was trafficking people. Young women. Girls. Mara felt the room tilt. I found out by accident, Lucas continued. And when I confronted him, he laughed. Told me the operation was too big, too protected, that he had friends in high places. His jaw tightened. 2 days later, I found him dead. The police arrived within minutes. Too fast, as if they were waiting. Mara's breath hitched. Detective Mathers? Lucas nodded slowly. He's not investigating Daniel's murder. He's cleaning it up. Everything clicked in Mara's mind. Mathers' hostility, his accusations, the way he dismissed her. He wasn't looking for truth. He was protecting something. And now, Lucas whispered, they're making you part of it because you were kind to me. They don't like coincidences. The truth pressed on Mara like a weight. She had saved the wrong man. Or maybe the right one. Suddenly, headlights swept across her living room wall. Lucas shot up. They found me. Mara peeked through the blinds. Detective Mathers' black SUV idled at the curb. A second car pulled up behind it. Mathers stepped out, face stone hard, eyes locked on her house. Lucas grabbed Mara's wrist, desperate. Please, I can prove everything. Daniel kept files, logs, names, but they'll kill me if I leave with them. Mara's pulse thundered. She looked between Lucas and Mathers approaching her porch. She made her decision. "Come with me," she whispered. They slipped out the back door into the rain-soaked alley, Lucas clutching his side as they ran. Mara led him through fences and between garages until they reached her old, rusted Corolla. They ducked inside just as footsteps echoed somewhere behind them. "Where are the files?" she asked. "Daniel's cabin," Lucas panted. 45 minutes north. Deep woods. Mara started the engine, but as the car pulled away, she saw Mathers at the end of the alley, watching, staring straight at her. He knew. The drive through the storm felt endless. Lucas's explanation unraveled like a nightmare. Daniel's trafficking ring. The wealthy men funding it. Mathers cleaning their crimes in exchange for payouts. "He killed Daniel," Lucas whispered, because Daniel threatened to expose the entire ring. Mara clenched the wheel. She felt sick. She had spent her life believing in goodness. But now she saw how easily it could be twisted, how power protected itself, how truth was buried under lies. When they reached the cabin, Lucas stumbled out first. The place was isolated, swallowed by trees. Mara followed him inside, heart hammering. The cabin smelled like dust and mold. Floorboards creaked beneath their feet. "This way," Lucas said, moving toward a hidden trapdoor beneath a rug. He pulled it open. Inside was a small metal lockbox. Lucas knelt and lifted it, then froze. Footsteps. Outside. Mara's blood went cold. "Lucas." The cabin door crashed open. Detective Mathers stood in the doorway, gun raised, face twisted with fury. "You should have stayed invisible, Mara," he growled. "People like you don't get involved in things like this." Lucas shielded the box. "You won't stop the truth." Mathers' eyes flicked to Mara. "And you? Was a fugitive worth ruining your life for? Worth dying for?" Mara's fear slowly hardened into something stronger. "No," she whispered. "But justice is—" She grabbed the nearest object, a metal poker by the fireplace. Mathers fired, the bullet grazing her shoulder. Pain exploded, but Mara swung with everything she had. The poker struck Mathers' arm. His gun clattered to the floor. Lucas tackled him. A struggle ensued. Fists, grunts, chaos. Mathers swung wildly, rage overpowering precision. But Lucas, the man everyone had feared, wasn't fighting to survive. He was fighting to protect. Moments later, Mathers lay unconscious, bound with electrical cords Mara found in a drawer. Lucas opened the box and pulled out stacks of documents, passports, photographs, evidence of the trafficking ring. Mara stared at it all, shaking. "It's enough," Lucas whispered. "We can expose them." Sirens wailed in the distance. "A backup unit," Mara gasped. Lucas nodded. "Then we need to go." "But where?" she cried. He looked at her with a mix of sorrow and determination. "Wherever the truth takes us." They slipped out the back of the cabin into the storm, disappearing into the forest seconds before police cars arrived. Inside, officers found Mathers tied up, groaning. Tried to explain, but the evidence box was gone. And so were they. 2 days later, national news reported. Detective Sean, Mathers arrested in trafficking corruption scandal. Justice had begun. But as investigators searched for Lucas Grange and the woman who helped him, Mara knew they weren't safe. Not yet, because the network Mathers protected wasn't gone, only exposed. And somewhere in the shadows, more powerful men were watching, waiting. The storm had just begun.